be addressed.
AV Community
Being that
Connect at
I'm just a high
Barbershop
school student, I
Talk
can't really find a cure to the opioid epidemic itself.
in
So
memory
I decided
of
to raise awareness for
Hussein.
it. And what I did was I decided to paint a mural showing the hardships and
This
struggles
is a young
at
man
first, but then listing areas that you can go
Huguenot
here in
High
the
School.
city, also here, Clean Dreams. And you can go to these places for free help, and they'll help you talk to and other people around the community to get help. And I wanted to give a positive outlook, so I decided to draw a person and their child happy. And here it is right here.
That's his artistry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and I added a quote right here. Recovery is about progression, not perfection. And I felt like that fully represents the meaning of the mural itself.
All right. All right. Don't that look nice?
Thank you, Marlo. All right, thank you so much, Marlo. He's a student at Richmond Community High. All right, thank you so much for sharing. So we put that mural over at 1 o'clock. Actually, we're going to put this at Close House on the north side. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So I just took your mural. Did I really? Okay, so we're gonna take that to Close House. Thank you so much. All right, we want to recognize Councilwoman Ellen Robertson for being in the building. Look, she don't just talk the talk. She's doing the walk. So she's hanging out. She blazed the storm. Her hair, that's her real hair. That wind was gusty out there. You want to say something? You my girl. That's your real hair. And she's out here because of the fact she didn't have to be. Nobody really had to be out here. We can make excuses while all of our lives are at stake. And we're going to start the dialogue. Let's start with the girls because we always open up with the guys all the time. Human trafficking is a problem not only in our communities. It's not in those communities or another town or another state. It's happening right here in our city, and it's happening in our schools, and it's happening in our surrounding areas. And these are things that we don't want to talk about. And Karen and I, we've been dialoguing for a long time. When you talk about children under the age of 18, whether they were coerced or they did it voluntarily, they cannot make that decision to have sex, much less be forced into it. But what happens when it comes to a lot of black and brown girls and some of our general population, they're under the age of 18. You got them strung out on heroin and other drugs. Then they rob, so they get arrested for robbery. Some go to treatment centers and other go to juvenile centers. So we want to delve deep into this human trafficking as it pertains to our communities and happening in our schools right now. And she is our expert. She's a human trafficking survivor. Show some love to Pastor Karen Gale of Pearl City.
I am Alicia Venable of AV Community Connect. Wow, it says people with mental health issues, the case managers. If you don't have your Medicaid, how do you get your Medicaid?
Where our grassroots are, okay? So if there are any questions in between, you guys can help me dialogue this, all right? I'm a pastor, so I'm going to do this 100 times. Somebody say amen right there.
Amen.
So let me give you my story. A lot of people don't understand what the difference between human trafficking and prostitution is. Because where we came up, it was called prostitution. Yeah. All right, so what we understand is prostitution is a whole new switch now. Because people that's caught up in sexual things, they're not walking down the street anymore, okay? So they're actually being taken across the state lines. When somebody is having sex with a minor and they take them across the state lines, now that is legally human trafficking. Okay. Human trafficking is everywhere. Trust me when I tell you, it's so many categories to human trafficking: sex labor, child laborers, child soldiers working. I mean, this is a $150 billion industry a year. So how many of y'all was shocked when y'all saw the Patriots owner got arrested for human trafficking? How many of y'all was shocked? Raise your hand. Everybody was pretty much shocked by that. I was not shocked by that. You know why I wasn't shocked by that? Because people are surprised where this is. I could walk up and down this street in Richmond and pull out brothels. They're in every neighborhood. They are just as common as shoes. Somebody better say amen. And our girls are dying in the street. And like Clovia said, our girls are getting caught up in this because this is popular. Do you guys know that Virginia, the dental school over there off of Broad Street was named the second highest college in America where they're pulling what they call sugar babies out of there. Sugar babies is another term that we're using for human trafficking. So what these guys are doing is they're putting these girls up in penthouses. These girls are driving very expensive cars. But the reason why they're getting caught up into this is because dental school is pretty high. So they're trying to get bills paid, all right? So, but what happens is, I mean, you got older guys that's pedophilias. You know, I found out something today that there are countries now that is trying to legalize pedophilias because they're saying this is a disease. This is amazing. This stuff is getting crazier and crazier and crazier. I mean, every day I'm learning something new. Well, with my story, and somebody remind me to tell you about sextortion. Don't let me forget that, okay? So let me tell you what my story was. Okay, when I was 7 years old, I used to go to my aunt's house and I used to play and all that kind of stuff. Well, I had an older uncle, an older cousin. He was 20. I was 7. Somebody better say amen right there. So, amen, I went to my aunt's house one day, and, you know, he wasn't one of these guys that made a lot of noise. So I trusted him. I grew up around him. And so I was in my aunt's house one day and she was gone, and he said, would you come into the bedroom? Well, I trusted him, so why wouldn't I go? I'm going to talk about incest in a minute. Come on here, somebody. Because we got to deal with this stuff in our community because it is tearing our kids' lives apart. I promise you, 1 out of 4 people in this room has been sexually violated, male and female. Y'all looking at me kind of crazy, but that's what the data is showing. 1 out of 4 people in this room has been sexually assaulted and was not treated. And you look around, 1, 2, 3, 4, you probably won. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we won't say nothing. Come on, we won't say nothing about this because we didn't want to break the family up. I understand. I didn't say anything for 35 years. But I got to my breaking point. And I felt like if I didn't deal with this, I was pretty much going to kill myself. And I was in New Jersey when I did that. All right? So he asked me to come on into the bedroom one day, and I did. And I had on some green shorts. I would never forget it. And that's where the act was performed. When I got up, I saw the blood on the sheet. That has forever stayed in my mind. Okay? So I went up the street to my grandmama's house. At 7, I didn't even understand that. I know I went into her bathroom, and I sat there, and I turned the water on. And I wanted to drown myself in the tub at 7 years old. And I never said another word to anybody about it. So it kept going on and on and on and on for 10 years. So my family kind of knew something was going on, but they didn't say anything. The reason why I know that is because when he would come to my aunt's house, they would say, here come Nini's boyfriend. That's kind of crazy. It's crazy. And this man had a beautiful wife and 2 children. Guess what else? He was in the United States Marine Corps. So he wasn't one of these people that was struggling. All right? So, you know, after I came out with my story in Petersburg a couple of years ago, if you look my story up, it says, survivor gets the oldest conviction in the city of Petersburg. Because it took me 30-some years. I'm the only one that's ever had a successful prosecution with a case 30 years old. So when I did that, it kind of like blew it off the water. Somebody better say amen. Because I said I didn't rise out of the ashes after 35 years to let that go back to sleep. So they went to Ohio and arrested him. And of course, he acted like he didn't know who I was. Come on here. But by then, my name had changed. So they brought him on back. But guess what they did before they brought him back? They allowed him to retire from the United States military. And when they found him, he was working in Homeland Security. So when I contacted the JAG officer in Cherry Point, North Carolina, because that's where he used to take me across the state line, I'm still waiting for them to call me back. That's probably not going to happen. All right. So, yeah, he's on the sex offender registry and stuff like that. But he was allowed to still live a normal life. While mine is forever jacked up. Come on here, somebody. So, you know what he got? He got 18 months in jail, only served 9. You know what I got in restitution? $300. Wow. But I'm helping these girls out here that's been, you know, things are happening to our girls out here on these buses and these schools. You know how many transporters go to school with your children? Some people call them traffickers, but the legitimate name is called they're called transporters in your school. I have people in my church who was approached and they work at car dealerships. And they're trying to, this is a recruiting station now. Virginia is one of the largest places for human trafficking because we have so many highways that you can get in, do your stuff, and be gone. So we got to close the gaps up around here. We don't just need no border down there. We need some border control up here. Okay, all right. Y'all better not leave me out there like that. All right, so that's one of the issues that we're dealing with. And we have to bring an awareness to this because I put on my Facebook page, Chloe hit me on it. 64,000 black women and girls are missing in this United States. Why are we not talking about that? Why nobody cares about it when our girls go missing? When our boys go missing? I think the gentleman said, if we don't call attention to this, they're not going to call attention to this. Because I'm of the persuasion, if black lives don't matter, then don't no lives matter. But we have to be cognizant of we have a voice. You need to let your voice be heard. Now, before I close, I'm going to give you a story. In 2013, Miss America started receiving emails. And through this email, this guy said, I am going to expose you with intimate pictures of yourself being naked. She said, there's no way you could expose me because I've never sent pictures across the internet. So what he did was, he said, what you don't understand, I was watching you for years in your bedroom through your laptop. So a hacker in another country hacked into her laptop because it has a webcam. And he was able to take pictures and videos of this girl. And he blackmailed her for months. She wouldn't tell anybody. So let me give you a tip before we leave. If you have a laptop that has a camera on it, you need to take a piece of paper and a tape and you need to cover that up. Anything in your house, whether it's a TV, anything that has a red dot or a blue dot, you need to make sure that it's covered. Because police officers are not going looking for hackers in other countries. But it's making our children vulnerable. Our kids got all these smartphones, and we are not checking what is in these smartphones because we don't want to offend them. Let me tell you something. Offend them, scare them, and keep them alive. So people don't like when I talk because they say you scare people. Well, let me ask you something. When these transporters get our kids, do you think they don't terrorize these children? I got a call from New Jersey a few weeks ago where these people was getting ready to buy this house. And when they went to the back of this house, on the outside of this house, they went in this house and there were spikes that was attached to the walls. Like they had somebody up in there that was against their will. So when they went and talked to the police officers, because you better believe I got the police officers over there, they was told the story. This is where we kept our horses. You and I both know they keep no horses in there. Why would you keep horses in there when you got mattresses upstairs? Horses lay on mattresses now? So we need to address this health crisis that is going on. Yes, Miss America did decide to delete all of her social media. That was really good. But she went through a long time of trauma to the point now that she doesn't even feel safe. Okay? It's our job to make sure that we protect our children. And it's also important that if you have been sexually assaulted, you are under some severe trauma. Do yourself a favor and get treatment. Amen. Don't be ashamed. All right? Any questions before I'm done? Any questions? No questions? No questions. So everybody understand human trafficking.
How many of us have daughters, grandchildren, great-grandchildren? Girls. So you mean to tell me nobody has any questions that have girls?
This is a shock.
It's a shock. Well, let me tell you let me give you some signs of human trafficking. You ready?
Yeah.
When you see a van come in your neighborhood and you see a lot of people leaving early and they stay gone all day and then they come back, you better second guess that. When you see a man out with a girl and the girl is not talking, he speaks for her, you need to think something here ain't right. All right? When you see a lot of tattoos, now this really helps the black community because there's a lot of tattoos in the black community. But in human trafficking, that's called marking and branding. So when you see people with a lot of tattoos, you need to say, okay, it is better for you to say something and be wrong than to not say something when you could have prevented that. Big pocketbooks, expensive gifts. Where you getting this stuff from? New friends, new cell phones, expensive stuff. This stuff ought to raise alarm.
Giving folks your password. Kids giving their friends their password.
Oh man, that's terrible. Please don't give your passwords out. And you need to be changing your passwords often. If you like me, you got a book where you just scratch out and put the next one under there, okay? Because this is some serious stuff. Our children are being abducted daily. Daily. You can see your grandkids today. Tomorrow, you may not see them. Because everybody's involved in it. School bus drivers involved in it. Police involved in it. Judges involved in this. Everybody's involved in this. Before I leave, let me ask you something. Where's the most popular place in America? Barbershop. Church. Human trafficking is in every church.
Disney World.
Disney World. Disney World is the hottest place for human trafficking. So when you buy your ticket to go to Disney World, you are populating human trafficking. And when you watch pornography, you are funding human trafficking. Okay, I know everybody just stopped right there. I got it. Why you think pornography is so big? Somebody got to be supporting this. So we are supporting this unbeknownst to us. Yes, at the end of Disney World, when those kids cross that line, you go through Disney World and you go through the front gate and you go all the way to the back. Watch what's back there. That's where they abduct a lot of kids at.
Okay.
It's wherever there's a crowd, you are seeing human trafficking. It's at colleges, it's at school. And another thing that's what most people don't understand is human trafficking is not me getting you, one at a time. They like groups of people. Because if you my friend, you going with me. If you my friend, you're going to get hurt. So I had a girlfriend in California that happened to. She went to a party with one of her girlfriends and woke up. Cell phone was missing. Clothes was missing. And she was in a brothel. And it took her 5 years to get out of that. All because she went somewhere with a girlfriend. We got to be smarter than this. Did I hear something else on this side?
Are people reporting it when their children are missing?
Well, let me tell you something. When our children are reported, it is they ran away, they're fast, or especially if they're in foster care. Who cares? If you don't make a big stink about somebody that's missing, they're not. So a lot of times when the police officers come, let me tell you something. Police officers are overwhelmed with a whole lot of other stuff. So this is not really high on their priority. Sad to say. People that go missing is not high on the police priority.
Someone said online that when you see a man shopping for large quantities of women's stuff,
yes,
you know, like,
that's a good sign. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, that's really good. I mean, I could go so much into this.
Another thing that a lot of families need to be mindful of, if there's a girl who's, her mom is working double shifts, she goes to school, she comes home, they have a little boy that meets her, but she's with his father, the father. So the father really doesn't have a mother. And it's like, oh my God, my dad's raising me, your mom raising you, then they meet each other, the mom and dad. Then the mom starts trusting the man who's the boy's fake father, right? And once they start believing, okay, well, he can pick her up, they say, the van is on their back. She gone.
You know how the people that contacted me that their children was human trafficked from the high schools? Kids left home, got on the bus, transporter picked them up from the high school, took them a few counties over, worked them all day, brought them back to school in time to catch the bus, and they went home. All the time, the parents didn't even know it. That happens in every college. Y'all see this book, this little sheet right here? This just came out 2 years ago. This is hot for human trafficking. Every dot is where it has been reported that somebody was found in human trafficking. That's pretty big, isn't it? We have a crisis in this country. And nobody wants to talk about it. Human trafficking is the second largest crime in America. What do you think the first one is? Drugs? Murder? It's pretty much where drugs and stuff is. Human trafficking is larger than guns. But we're not talking about this. Especially among our people. Because we are the most victim. It's called modern day slavery.
Victimized.
But only when it touched other communities, now it's a problem. But when we was hollering trying to get help, nobody wanted to listen. All right? So I need you guys to be with me. Person of Hope, I got some stuff on the table back there. You can reach me at pearlsforhope.com, and our Gmail account is actually on there. Nothing on that card is right, but the website, because we were doing some things. I need you, if you see something, say something. Hit me up at the website. Please, if you see something, let's work together to help one another. Yes.
What part can parents play in it? It kind of baffles my mind.
Come on, because you can talk next anyway.
Because I hear what you're saying. You said that it's reported. It's reported, but no one is doing anything about it. That's our fault. That's our fault. As a community leader, people in the community, we ought to have a bigger voice in that. Even if Popo don't do anything about it, then we ought to make enough noise to do something about it and make a difference and make a change. There are folk that we put in office, that we put in positions, and we ought not to stop just at the police department. We need to go to the next level. So I think what you're doing is really good. It's educating us, it's informing us, and it's also arming us. But I would like to see us have a plateau where we could go to for parents who are not getting answers from the police department, from the local police department. That way we can take it to the next level. We talk about Black Lives Matter, and that's a different topic altogether. I don't really want to get on that because we don't think that Black Lives Matter. So y'all talk about other folks think about that. But those of us who do feel as though that Black Lives Matter, then I think it's important upon us and incumbent upon us to put our heads together and in a collective and collaborative effort to make sure that enough noise is made that somebody will have to listen. And we ought not to stop with just the local police. No, we can't do that. All right. I was able to go to Washington D.C. and this was about 7 years ago when we had a meeting and they talked about this is the largest corridor in Virginia, coming through Hanover, coming through that area, all the way down to Tidewater, where the most traffic is going.
On the East Coast.
That was about 8 years ago. And in Chesterfield, they had plenty of houses in there, and the only way they found out one of the houses was that an inspector came in there because there were fleas or something in there, and he noticed all of the mattresses in there, and that way they were exposed. But if anybody ought to be cohesive, if anybody ought to be vigilant, it ought to be us as black people, because for the most part, even though we don't do all we can for our children, all of us. We don't do all we can for our kids, but if something happened to them, we cry loud and we cry hard. But we can't go to sleep on this. So I applaud you for what you're doing. That's good.
You said, what can we do as parents? What you can do is believe your children. That sounds real simple, doesn't it? And when your children are saying, Mom, Dad did this to me, you need to believe that. I know it may hurt. I know it may do whatever. But you know how many people will never seek treatment because people don't believe them? You guys have your own opinion. I side with the victim. That's just where we are. Amen. I don't have to, but that's just where I am. So you need to believe them because that's where a lot of this can be stopped. Because our girls don't feel loved. They don't feel appreciated. They do not feel valued. That is stuff that transporters prey on. Vulnerable girls and guys who feel lost.
So how many African Americans are victimized in this work? Is it a majority African Americans, children that are being
Miss
trafficked,
Elder
or is
Robinson.
Well, the data shows that it's more African Americans, but The data shows it's African Americans, but watch this. There's no data kept on how much of us is getting abducted. But you can look at different headlines and you can actually see that it appears to be more of us that come up missing. Because do you know how many, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
You sure? You sure? I didn't. Okay,
No,
so.
answer my question, to the fact that there's no data being collected, so we really don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we're saying that that is the second largest crime, somebody's collecting data. There's data somewhere.
Do you know how easy it is to manipulate? You're not aware of how easy it is to manipulate. Y'all help me right there. Manipulate data. You can take a survey and change that survey any kind of way you want to make that survey fit what you want it to say. Happens every day.
This was how.
Okay.
You got it.
You gotta speak it up.
Okay, well, this is how we gotta look at it as a people. First thing we gotta understand is what percentage of the United States is the black population. Approximately 10 to 15 years ago, we was 14% of the whole population. So if we 14% of the whole population, and you got over billions of people in the United States, then if 10 black people get taken and 100,000 white people get taken, we still the majority. Relatively, because we the smallest population. It's just like in the prison system. You know, in the prison system, you might have 2 million people locked up in the United States, but 95% of them is black. But we only 14% of the population. You understand what I'm saying there? Right, so that's the number. So that's why, in so many words, we are the majority that's being kidnapped. Just to say one more thing, like the pastor said, one of the biggest problems we have right here in the United States, in Richmond, Virginia, is that we don't have no principle or no education on how to protect your neighborhood. You see, the men in Richmond that's 35 to 50, we the ones out there doing the bull. So the young brothers, like the young brother that showed the paper, he fighting for his life. He's swimming against upstream. He's like a salmon, you know, trying to turn pink. You know what I'm saying? Get upstream so he can survive, because out here, it ain't no whole lot of role models. And see, we got to start doing it right here. I understand the police. I ain't got no problem against no police. Real talk, I ain't got no problem against the government, anybody else in office. But quiet as a kept, we need to do it ourselves. I ain't scared to go out there. That's where I'm at all day. We got the black man in America, in Richmond. We got to adopt this attitude right here. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that can save somebody. Yo, youngin', come over here, man. Let me holler at you, man. What you doing, bro? What's up with you, man? You say you keep it 100, right? Yeah, I keep it 100. How you say you keep it 100? Yeah, I keep it 100. Them earrings in your ear real? Well, you fake, nigga. Excuse my language. Now, when you crack his head like that, now he going back and think about that. See, we got to give tough love out here. All this old play talking and kicking the bobo like Hassan said last time, that's good. That's real good. But guess what? It ain't making no changes, because you got to change the condition of the people. Come on now. How many of us in here now is disenfranchised with hiring our own people to do work for us?
I am.
Talk about it. Keep it real. Keep
am.
it real. Me.
I am.
Me.
Me too.
Me. God bless me to move in a
Me
home.
too.
And 5 minutes later, I put my brothers in there to do something, and it's leaking. Pay him ahead of time and let him know, bro, I ain't joking. Go ahead, take care. You don't see him no more. You know what I'm saying? You go to the so-called cleaners to get your clothes clean. The collar still got dirt around. You don't get your clothes for 2 days. 2 days, you put your clothes in the cleaner, supposed to get it back 1 day. Go take 2 days to get your shirt because the van broke down. You look at all the black-owned vans, companies that's transporting people. Guess what? Broke down. Come on, we got to start right here. We leave out here, every last one of us brothers in here, We need to walk out here. When we walk out here, say, yo, youngin, let me pull you up, man. Keep it real with them, and they're going to respect you. Because guess what? The same way you knew a fake person back in the day, they recognize it now, man. Real recognize real, man. The slogan is real, man. They know what time it is with you, what they do. Yo, shout out, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? No, I ain't even want to be heard. No, they don't want to be heard when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
So the youngin turning his head. He don't want to hear it.
See, we get that brother Venable. You have a question?
Yeah, all right.
I listened to what he was saying from beginning to end. A lot of us are misinformed. The education is not there. Nobody's willing to speak on it as you spoke on it. I'm 56 and I ain't know none of this, what you saying about the brothels and things such as that nature.
That's how big it is. You see how many categories on this paper?
All right.
So, a year ago, I read the picture was the 9th.
I think that, as he was saying, you know, we need to put our differences aside and we need to get together and we need to put forth action. We need to be foot soldiers. There's a lot of guys out here, man, that have time to do something positive. We need to do it, man. We need to give some of ourselves and find out what these problems is. And the solution is us. Moving forth with something physical instead of always just talking about it.
Hey, I just like to say, did y'all see that Steve Harvey thing when Monique got out on him and explained to him as far as his character and attitude, they shut him down for give her a job in the industry? Steve Harvey said we gotta stay in our place. He didn't speak the Cassius Clay talk. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. Till you change our mentality, you ain't gonna get nothing done. Chief Jacobs' mother Tony had a thing the other day. How many people showed up? Everybody got somebody that's deceased and missing who you care about. Won't nobody there. So until we change the mindset and stop saying it's not affecting me, it don't affect us, it's not in my household, I'm trying to save my car. You know what I'm saying? Until we get that mindset, we ain't gonna know where as a people.
No, I just wanted to expand on something that I think the brothers is also saying as far as our mindset, but a little more direct to the situation itself. And I think it definitely has a lot to do with us changing our mindset, but it also has to do and that comes within the house. We have to stop judging our children. So we judge the youth as if they are supposed to be responsible for their actions. Meaning a lot of women telling their daughters they being fast around their boyfriends. When it's your boyfriend that's the problem. It's your man, it's your husband that's the problem. You understand? Like the child is a child. So you have to have more respect and more love for your child than your mate. That's a fact. That's one of the biggest problems of why young ladies, young girls are out here doing what they're doing, because they don't feel like they have anybody that they can lean on and rely on, or they could be open with, and they don't have an open line of communication. We as black people always haven't been able to communicate with each other in a logical way. We're more emotional. We're more, yo, you do what I tell you to do, so on and so forth, but we don't heal our cycle, our broken cycle. So we just keep on cycling this negative, aggressive, non-trustworthy, and we just pour that on our children. Another situation, there's an icon for this in our community. R. Kelly, let's talk about it for a second. You can't say you don't promote sex trafficking in your neighborhood, yet you play R. Kelly music and you know what's going on. He like the Michael Jordan of our community for sex trafficking at this particular point in time. For all of the things that she's described are all the things that he is known to have done. So when you on Facebook or you on this or that, blaming the parents, blaming the young girls for being around him and all of that, all you're doing is promoting and telling your daughter that I won't believe you or it'd be your fault if you find yourself in that same situation. So we gotta change our mindset. We gotta change our idols. We gotta change all the things that we look at as norms in our society because they're not normal. It's toxic. We gotta remove the toxicity. Thank you.
Again, personal hope. Listen, if you hear anyone that needs someone to talk to, they can get my number right on the website, and my number is available 24 hours a day. All right? You can reach me 24 hours a day. I'm not one of these people that's not out on the street doing the
Read my message.
All right? Thank you so much.
All right, give it up once again. All right, we're going to move right along, and I know we really had to have the discussion about sex and human trafficking. We want to thank Peer Nation One for being Peer class for being here once again. And we're going to go back and address that R. Kelly stuff. We're going to talk about toxic people. But right now, we got a brother who has some positive rap. He's traveled up and down the coast performing. Right now, he's going to talk about some positive things that we need to hear. He got some funky beats, but just listen to his lyrics. Ladies and gentlemen, Radio P.
Thank you very much. Make some noise for Community Clothing for putting this together and for everybody involved for putting this together. I appreciate y'all having me out. So I got an album out called Jesus Never Wore a Suit. I'm going to do a couple of songs from it. It's available on all digital platforms, all on iTunes and all that stuff. So this song is called Freedom to Live. I was hand painted by God with a bucket of melanin, painted in Christ's image. What you've been telling them, what you've been selling them, subliminal supremacy. I know you see me as the enemy. Jesus never wore a suit, never wore white skin. I'm not being racist, I'm just being technical. Mama always taught me how to love and be respectable, but nowadays none of you is ethical. Ain't no cheat codes or MC codes, it's all cheat codes. I can't even rock with your beef, it's all meatloaf. Old reference, gold essence, don't test it. You can't gauge my worth with old reference. You can try to take my turf with old metrics. I plan to stand my ground with no Alec laws. You free your mind when you realize the power's yours. Today was a good day, how was yours? I just want freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. Freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. Freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. Freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. I just want freedom to live. Are you holding? Let's have a truth or dare moment. Me, I see no threat and their opponent. I dare you to take onus, it won't take a moment. Black cats and crack mirrors don't believe in omens. Still zoning, black gooping, trapped in rap music. Back when Kanye was still making crack music, I loved it. That was back when it's Bush in the public. Now it's vote for Trump, the matter, I hope for some. In a weird place, in an awkward time. Mumble rap, all them awkward lines. Being trapped in America, tough to survive. Now we watching niggas die right on Facebook Live. But what's new? We ain't seen this shit before. We done built a whole country with no shit to show. We done seen how they play this in this history book. Even Trump ain't new. This how history looks, my son. Just freedom to live. I just paid to start my biz, raise my kids. Trust me, I don't mean no harm. I'm just trying to be informed. Ring the alarm. Got another educated, melanated. Ask me what I'm selling, you a felon, ain't it? No, I'm not. Every year you see us. They hate the city celebrated. We made it. But I hunger for more. There's a war going on inside of my door.
Hold this for me. I gotta take this coat off. I'm about to burn up. You hold that for me on him? Because I gotta take this coat off. I'm about to burn up. Okay.